Hi guys, this is Debbie with Debbie J's Crafting Corner. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm making some Valentine's cards using the large die of the month and the Glimmer of the month club kits from Spellbinders. I'll have links to all of the products I'm using today in the video description below for your convenience. I had a couple of ideas when I was starting off with this, not 100% sure what I was going to do, but I figured I'd go ahead and turn on the camera and see what happened. So first I started off with cutting out using the large die of the month. You can see the die sitting off to the side, and then I decided I wanted to emboss it with that embossing folder of the month because it is just too cool. So I used some post-it tape to hold all of the pieces in place before running it through my die cutting machine, and it looked like it did everything perfect. So I was real happy at that point and figured I'd keep going. So at this point I pick out a couple of other papers that would kind of contrast, and I'm going to do the same kind of thing with them, well, at least cutting them out. I'm cutting them out using that large die that cuts out that whole front panel with the heart in the middle and all the little hearts on the sides, and I'm cutting that out of some red foil cardstock and then some pattern paper that I have left over from one of my previous cards. And again, I want to keep all of the pieces together, so I'm going to use some post-it tape to hold them together as well. Next, I grabbed out some press and seal because I want to be able to put the adhesive on the other side of the cards, and I want all the pieces, again, to stay all in place. So I'm using that on the front of each of those panels so that it hopefully will work out okay. And then I am going to go ahead and start peeling off some of that post-it tape so I can start adhering the pieces onto a card panel. Okay, I don't trust myself to actually put everything down straight, so I'm using my scoreboard to try to line everything up right up against the edge. So I put down one of the pieces. This is from that striped pattern paper, and now I'm trying to get some of that post-it tape off of my embossed panel. Now, here's the thing. Post-it tape is a temporary adhesive, but I also kind of squished it into the panel when I ran it through my die cutting machine with the embossing folder, so it is extremely sticky. So I think that this was probably not the best idea. So in the future, I am going to try doing a different method of doing this to get that embossing down. You want to do the die cutting first, and the reason for that is because you don't want to lose all of the embossing when you run it through the machine to cut it. So you want to cut it first before you do the embossing. But the post-it tape was a bit too sticky, so I had a lot of trouble with that. What I'm doing here is I'm adhering it down onto that same white card panel. This one is basically where I'm going to use these pink and white stripes and then the white embossed. And then I got out one of my adhesive erasers to try to get some of the sticky off of that embossed part. It's not working that well, and I won't do it this way again. I think I'm going to stick to press and seal when I want to hold things in the right spot. So I'm just adhering these down onto that card panel. I'm going back and forth between the pink and white stripes and the white embossed, and just laying them all out in the basically replacing each other on the panel so that everything matches up. And that leaves a bunch of little holes, heart-shaped holes, plus the big one in the center. Then I'm going to use the pieces from the red foil panel that I cut out. So this is going to be really cool. I'm going to be able to create 3 different cards, same basic design, but because I cut out of 3 different papers, it's going to look awesome. In that large die of the month kit, there is this floral piece that you're able to cut out of the heart that's in the center of the card. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that out of that red cardstock that I cut out of the red panel. And then I'm also going to cut out a separate white heart that's the same size that's actually from the Glimmer of the month kit. And I'm going to use a white piece to basically be the backing on my red, so that way I can kind of pop it up above the hole in the center of the card. You'll notice that I also adhered that down to a card base. I'm using a light pink heavyweight card base for this. I figured that that would tie in with the pink stripes and wouldn't be too overwhelming with the rest of the colors on the card. For the second card, I used that pretty pink and white striped paper and red for the background, and then all of the little hearts are done with the embossed white. I think that that's going to turn out really pretty. However, I do need to have something for a sentiment or a little bit of a focal point. So what I'm doing is I'm going to go ahead and start using that Glimmer of the Month kit. Now in this kit, there are a bunch of little sentiment strips and these two pretty decent size hearts that of course fit perfectly in the well that we've already cut using the other die. I love how all of these sets are coordinating so well. So I'm going to go ahead and glimmer up in some red foil on top of the pink and white stripes, and then do another one on just some regular white cardstock. I recently purchased the Glimmer system and the Platinum 6 die cutting machine, so I'm using that kind of off to the side, and I'm getting used to how it works. When I looked in the manual, it said that we're supposed to use the thin shim and the Glimmer cover plate, and what I'm noticing I'm getting with both of those when I'm using both of those through the machine is I am getting quite a bit of overfoiling, so I'm going to have to clean some of that up using my mono sand eraser. I wasn't able to get all of the overfoiling off, but that's okay. I'm going to just use that as an opportunity to add a little bit of embellishment on top. So for these other two cards, I am going to pop them up into that heart shape. Keep wanting to say circle. It's not a circle, it's a heart. But I'm going to want to pop up those pieces on that. So I'm going ahead and adding some foam tape to the back of them and then trying to decide which one to go on which. I mean, but all three cards are very, very similar. It just has to do with what color cardstocks are being used and the textures and that sort of thing. So I decided to put this foiled floral in the center of this one card, but I am going to need an additional sentiment, which I have already foiled up, and I'm going to add that on, all of that on with some foam tape. So I grabbed out some of those little hearts that I've got in my stash from Target, and I'm adding them over the little places that were a little bit overfoiled that I wasn't able to clean up so much, and you cannot tell. It looks so cute as a finished card. I had foiled two of those little sentiment strips, and so for the second one I'm going ahead and adding that to this last card. So for this one, I've got 3 different cards because I cut out 3 different pieces of cardstock to create each one, and they turned out so stinking cute. If you want to see more videos where I use some Spellbinders products in my cards, take a look at this playlist, and remember, if I can make it, you can too. Talk to you soon.